Hey YouTube, I wanted to give you a short update on what's going on with my leg. So I'm walking better and better every day. I'm gaining muscles in places that I still didn't think that I had. I'm continuing to get faster on my bicycle, and it's all quite an amazing process. Yet at the same time, with legs that have pins in them going to your bone, you have the potential for getting an infection. So you're really, when you have an external fixator, you're kind of racing against the eventual infection. And I lost that race a couple weeks ago, officially. So I had to have 2 of my pins taken out of my fixator, and then the infection cleaned out, which meant they had to sort of cut out some of the bone. They had to cut out some of the skin. It's a horror show down there, and I'm not going to show you anything. I'm not that mean. But I had to have that done. I had the pins taken out. I got another one put in, and I've got, another 4 or 5 months that I can be in this frame until eventually I'm going to run into another infection and then have that process happen again. But my doctor tells me that I'm about 2 months out from having this frame removed. And for that, I am so excited and grateful. This has been a hell of a process. It's been an emotional ride. I've looked at horror stories from external fixators, like people losing their leg and things like that. Of course, that's the worst case scenario, which is super rare, but it's when I started to get the infection, I went on Google and let's see what it is that they do to fix that when that happens, and blah blah blah, and I freaked myself out, which is stupid on my part, but I did it, so I own it. So there's been over the last 6 months or so that I've had this on, there's been a lot of unnecessary anxiety that I've caused myself, and other issues that my doctor is not exactly the best communicator, so I had to figure out a lot of things on my own, and I really wish that would have been done differently, but I've made it. I've made it. So I have a new pin, I've got time, and I'm going to continue sort of riding my bike, walking around, putting as much weight on this bone as possible, etc. And gaining muscle, which is fun. One interesting thing that started happening is I've got one kneecap that's tilted almost out diagonally, and it's rubbed the cartilage off the end of the patella almost entirely. There's probably just bone on bone at this point. That leg has been compensating for the foot that's over here. So I've got one foot straight and then one foot like that, and then this one is sort of doing weird bending motions as I walked all my life. What's happening with that leg is that kneecap is wanting to track straight. So occasionally as I'm walking, I'll feel this shift in my knee, and it's super disconcerting, but it doesn't hurt. And I'm noticing that the more it's kind of shifted inwards, the more steady I am, the better balance I have, and the faster I can propel myself forwards. So it's just real interesting that you fix one of the biggest parts of things that's out of line, and then the rest of the assembly starts to align itself. I thought that I had sort of wide hips for a male, but it turned out I just had no inner quad development all my life. So I now have my legs almost touching each other and rubbing against each other, because I've gained so much muscle and the inner part of my legs that it's just it's just thick. My whole legs are just starting to become monstrous, actually. And it's such a trip. I really wonder what it is that causes people to get so screwed up that they need physical therapy, because without any guidance at all, just riding a bike, walking around, doing a little bit of squats here and there, I've been able to get my muscles balanced, and they just keep getting more and more balanced and better. So all that physical therapy was a complete waste of time. I know that for sure. But yeah, it's just I don't know where it is that this ends, because I've hit 24 miles per hour on a bicycle, and like I'm just wondering, like, do I get even faster than that? Because every time I get on, I'm faster. It's amazing. I'm beginning to understand the mentality of people that bike for sport and don't like the idea of having a motor, because now that I'm a lot more biomechanically normal, I'm putting out so much more power than I used to. Especially when it comes to like climbing hills and stuff. I used to get off the bike on a lot of hills, and now I just stick it in the lowest gear and go. I mean, yeah, I'll be huffing and puffing, but I can make it up just because I just have the additional leverage. And bicycling is like it sort of gives me a runner's high, whereas it didn't used to before, except for when I had a motor, where if you're traveling at 30 miles per hour while pedaling, it feels really good, but traveling at 20 something miles per hour on your own pedal power feels even better. So of course I'm going to still build electric bikes because they're my favorite thing on the whole planet, but I'm really enjoying riding a regular bike and building muscle and building bone as well, because right now my leg is kind of like Swiss cheese with these holes being yeah, I'm going to stop talking about that, sorry guys. As far as pain goes, my foot pain is completely gone. Completely gone. I'm pretty sure tibial torsion hurts your foot the most, because where the messed up angle is where a lot of the friction is going to be happening. So I'm so happy to be free of foot pain. And then my knee pain and the weird knee sensations, other than my kneecap deciding to realign itself, that's going away. I used to have grinding and popping sensations in my knees. I don't notice those anymore. And again, that makes sense with the tibia being twisted at the bottom part. It's causing the top of the tibia to still kind of waver around as you walk and do funny things that it shouldn't be doing. It's not designed to do that. So my knees are good. I don't feel like I'm staring down the barrel of replacement knees. That's great. The thing that sucks is that my hip is still fucked up. So I get less pain than I used to have, but the pain's still there. So I'm having to still take ibuprofen and things to deal with the pain, and that sucks. But I take a lot less ibuprofen than I used to. So I think that I can live with this for a while. Eventually I'm going to get my hip fixed, because I know that my hip is out significantly as well. And I believe that that's going to fix the hip pain and prevents me from getting a replacement hip. So I'm really excited about that. Also, I shared the initial video on a couple Reddit subreddits, like arthritis ones, and I noticed that a lot of the people that use Reddit are younger. Some of them are in their teens, and some of them are in their early 20s, and then very few are like in their 30s and 40s. So I've gone on like the r/thritis sub, and I've noticed that actually a decent amount of the people that end up with arthritis very young, when it's not like an autoimmune condition, it's actually just because of twisted bones. And I've sort of helped give some people on there a little bit of clues as to what is going on. And every single time I identify somebody that has like a twisted tibia or a twisted hip by just asking them questions about the way they walk and the way things face and all that stuff, they've been misdiagnosed as well. They've had things like two-dimensional x-rays done that had them standing in the position where everything looks fine, and the doctor goes, oh yeah, no, you're fine, you don't have any bone problems. They've been told to ice it, like I was, oh yeah, just put ice on it, it's just an injury that's only been hurting for 7 years. They've gone through physical therapy, which didn't do anything for them as well. So it doesn't seem like the medical world really understands this very well. And so I'm having people come in and comment on that video, and they're telling me their stories about how these young people are probably more twisted up than I am, because they had the pain hit them sooner. But they're talking about how it led to social isolation and depression and hopelessness, and just thinking that they didn't have a future, not being able to play sports anymore, which is important when you're young, And gosh, I'm just like, there's so many people that are in the same boat as me, and they responded to it the same way. A couple of them got into geeky stuff that requires you to do nothing but sit, like programming. Oh, go figure, somebody who has fucked up legs would find some kind of occupation where they get to sit, right? And I was like, man, if I didn't have the messed up tibia, I would be a completely different person. I would probably be a fitness freak. I probably would read a lot less. And it's just to think about how much this experience changes your personality and your life experience. It's kind of mind-blowing that this is sort of a universal experience amongst people with twisted bones, that depression and isolation and things like that, and a tendency towards the stationary hobbies and interests. So yeah, if you're watching this and I'd experienced the same issues I do, I really hope that I've at least given you some hope that this whole idea of cutting a bone and rotating it into place actually does work. There's very few papers out there, scientific papers, supporting the idea that you should fix this as an orthopedist. But you should look out for them, because if your orthopedic doctor is saying we shouldn't do this, you should go find those and show them to your doctor. It might change his opinion. His or her opinion, sorry, it's the current year. Because actually, it was hard for me to convince my doctor to cut me up. I had to do quite a few tests to prove that I needed it done, and it was 100% the right thing to do, but for whatever reason in the profession, they don't seem to acknowledge physics as part of the reason why somebody would be walking funny and then hurting. I mean, the real tip-off should be, can you run? No, I can't run. I wobble when I run. Why does somebody wobble when they run? It's because their bones are fucked up. But even somebody can watch you run in a clinical setting and not make the connection of, oh, maybe it's just muscles. Well, how do muscles get screwed up like that? They just don't. They're just not thinking of it. It's maybe it's just really, really rare for people to have messed up bones. I don't know. But if you go out and decide to deal with this issue, you're going to have to be like a bulldog, and you're going to have to look for the smartest people you can find. Any average place is just no. Waste your money. 2-dimensional x-rays, waste your money. You need a CT gun sight scan, and that builds a 3-dimensional model of your bones, which will tell your doctor everything about your bone alignment, which will also translate into the alignment of muscles, and then it will determine how long or short ligaments are. And don't think that ligaments can't shrink and change size or stretch out. They will. And that's actually happened to me in my foot. My foot has completely reconfigured. There's like a bazillion bones in your foot. And when I put my foot down the first time, it was like crooked. And then it collapsed. And there's all sorts of weird shit that was happening when I first started walking, and now it looks more like closer to a normal foot, but it's still going through the process of all those ligaments being stretched out and some muscles getting stronger and all that stuff. That stuff's just going to happen. That happens as a consequence of what your bones are doing. Okay, so it's bone first, cartilage, ligaments, muscles second. But when you go to any orthopedic specialist, they're going to be thinking the reverse way. So I hope this video has been helpful to you. I'm going to do an update when I have this frame taken off as to what what that experience is like. I know that it's gonna suck, but you'll get to see that from me. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you later.